Gentlemen, listen closely. In a world where youth is celebrated, many older men often believe they've lost their chance to be attractive, magnetic, and desirable. But this is a false belief. What if I told you that your age is not a weakness but your greatest strength? What if you could understand exactly how younger women think, what they secretly desire, and how to use psychological principles to draw them to you naturally without chasing, begging, or lowering your value? Today, we bring you wisdom that blends psychology with Stoicism, guided by the insights of philosopher Agnes Callard, whose work on desire and aspiration reveals profound truths about human attraction. Callard teaches us that desire is not about having, but about becoming. Attraction works the same way. Younger women are not simply interested in what you own or what you look like. They are drawn to who you are becoming, to your direction, and to your power of self-mastery. This video isn't about cheap pickup lines, manipulation, or fake tricks. It's about 7 powerful psychological principles, flirting techniques rooted in reality and ancient wisdom that older men can use to naturally attract younger women. When you understand these 7 principles, you'll see how respect, desire, and even love flow to you without effort. Let's begin. Part 1. The power of calm presence. The first powerful flirting trick older men use is not about what they say. It's about what they don't say. Younger men often rely on noise, exaggeration, and energy to impress women. They show off, crack endless jokes, or rush to prove themselves. But an older man who understands his value doesn't need to compete for attention. He carries himself with calm presence. Agnes Callard's philosophy on aspiration reminds us that human beings are drawn toward what they lack. Younger women often lack stability, calmness, and wisdom in a chaotic world. So when you embody those qualities, you instantly become magnetic. Simply by speaking less and observing more, you project mystery and strength. Your silence, paired with thoughtful words when you choose to speak, becomes a form of flirting more powerful than any pickup line. Psychology backs this up. People perceive those who speak slowly and deliberately as more confident and competent. A calm voice, measured tone, and unhurried body language communicate that you are in control of yourself, and women feel this at a subconscious level. Here's the secret. Flirting isn't always playful banter. True flirting is the art of creating tension. When you can sit in silence, look into her eyes with calm confidence, and not feel the need to rush, you separate yourself from every insecure younger man who fidgets, overshares, or tries too hard. Think of Marcus Aurelius's Stoic reminder. The best answer to anger is silence. In attraction, the best answer to pressure is presence. Your calmness becomes her curiosity. She starts to wonder, why isn't he nervous? Why does he seem so grounded? That curiosity is the spark of attraction. Part 2. The mentor energy. The second powerful flirting trick older men use to attract younger women is what I call the mentor energy. Now let's be clear, this isn't about lecturing or preaching. It's about embodying guidance and direction in a way that feels inspiring, not controlling. Agnes Callard, in her philosophy of aspiration, explains that desire often begins with admiring someone who knows more, sees further, and lives with higher clarity. A younger woman is often attracted to an older man not simply for his looks, but for his depth, his ability to open her eyes to new perspectives. In psychology, this is known as the teacher effect. People feel more attached to those who expand their worldview. Think back to when you were younger. Didn't you admire those who seemed wiser, calmer, and ahead of you in life? Attraction often works the same way. Here's how this becomes a flirting technique. Instead of trying to impress her, you create conversations that reveal your depth and guide her into new ways of thinking. For example, when she talks about her struggles, instead of giving shallow reassurance, you ask deeper questions that show her you've walked this path before. Instead of bragging about your success, you share lessons from failures that shaped you. This creates mentor energy, which is intoxicating because it combines admiration with attraction. She doesn't just see you as a man, she sees you as someone she can grow with, someone who adds meaning to her journey. Stoic philosophy reinforces this. Epictetus taught, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." When you embody wisdom instead of flaunting it, your life itself becomes the flirtation. Every word, every action, every calm response to chaos teaches her something. And teaching, without trying to dominate, creates a bond far deeper than superficial charm. That is why so many younger women are drawn to older men. They seek the anchor, the guide, the subtle mentor who elevates their thinking. And the best part? You don't have to force this energy. It emerges naturally when you live with purpose, when your confidence comes from your experiences rather than the need for validation. The third powerful flirting trick older men use is subtle playfulness. Many people assume that older men must always act serious, formal, or fatherly around younger women. But here lies the paradox. When you have lived long enough to carry wisdom, your light-hearted humor becomes even more attractive because it's unexpected. Agnes Callard, in her writings on aspiration, shows us that human beings are drawn to paradoxes, contrasts that make someone fascinating. A younger woman expects an older man to be stern, maybe even boring. But when you can combine wisdom with playfulness, calmness with wit, you become unforgettable. Psychology reveals that humor is one of the most effective bonding mechanisms in attraction. Laughter releases dopamine, the same neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and reward. But here's the difference. Younger men often use humor as a desperate tool, throwing endless jokes hoping to be liked. Older men, however, use humor sparingly, strategically, and with subtle confidence. This is why subtle playfulness is such a powerful flirting tool. You don't try to be the clown. Instead, you use small moments, teasing her gently, smiling at her quirks, or making witty observations that show you're fully present. For example, if she nervously rambles, you might smile and say, "You know, you talk faster than most auctioneers." That's not cruel. It's playful. It shows confidence, and it sets you apart. Stoics often warned against taking life too seriously. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Playfulness shows that you don't live trapped in worry or fear. You can laugh at yourself, laugh at life, and by doing so you free her from the tension she feels. That light-hearted spirit, grounded in your calm masculine energy, is magnetic. So remember, wisdom draws respect, but playfulness draws desire. Combine both, and you'll create an irresistible blend. Part 4. The Art of Slowing Down. The fourth powerful flirting trick older men use is the art of slowing down. Most younger men approach attraction like a sprint. They rush for her attention, rush to prove themselves, rush to win her over. But younger women don't respond well to pressure. They respond to rhythm, patience, and timing. And older men, when they understand this, hold the advantage. Agnes Callard's philosophy of aspiration tells us that people don't become who they want to be overnight. It's a gradual process of growth. Attraction mirrors this. Desire deepens when it has space to breathe. By slowing down the process of connection, you create anticipation, tension, and curiosity. Psychology calls this the scarcity effect. We value what isn't immediately available. When you don't rush, when you let moments unfold naturally, you signal high value. She begins to wonder, why isn't he in a hurry? Why does he seem so patient? That patience translates as confidence. Here's how slowing down becomes a flirting trick. You don't jump to reply instantly. You pause before answering, making your words feel deliberate. You don't rush into physical closeness. You let the eye contact linger, let the silence breathe, and then move forward when the moment feels right. This art of pacing makes every interaction richer. Imagine music without rhythm, it would be chaotic. The same is true in attraction. Slowing down makes every laugh, every touch, every word feel amplified. The Stoics also teach us this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is like a river. All things come to pass." By embracing patience, you not only live stoically, you flirt stoically. You let the river flow instead of forcing the tide. And paradoxically, this makes her lean toward you even more. Part 5. The Magnetic Mystery. The fifth powerful flirting trick older men use is the energy of magnetic mystery. Younger men often overshare in an attempt to impress. They reveal everything about themselves, hoping that transparency will win affection. But attraction doesn't grow in total exposure. It grows in curiosity. Agnes Callard explains that desire is about longing for something we don't fully possess. If you give everything away at once, you remove longing. Mystery, therefore, is not about hiding. It's about revealing slowly, leaving space for wonder. Psychologically, this works because of the Zeigarnik effect. People remember and obsess more about unfinished stories than completed ones. When you don't reveal everything about yourself, you become that unfinished story. She keeps thinking about you because her mind is wired to complete the puzzle. Here's how you cultivate magnetic mystery. You don't answer every question in detail. You give just enough to spark interest. You share parts of your life slowly, letting her discover you over time. You live a life with depth, hobbies, passions, and projects that she doesn't fully know, but can sense. Stoicism adds another layer. Epictetus taught, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. When you react calmly to chaos, when you carry yourself with composure no matter the situation, you reveal inner depth that words cannot. That depth is mysterious because she can't quite define it, yet she feels it." This is why women often describe older men as intriguing or different. It's not about being distant or cold. It's about letting your depth reveal itself slowly. Like a book worth savoring. The less you rush to be understood, the more magnetic you become. The sixth powerful flirting trick older men use is the confidence of detachment. Younger men often chase women with intensity, hoping that effort alone will win her affection. But ironically, the more a man chases, the more he communicates neediness. And neediness in psychology is the fastest way to destroy attraction. Older men who understand detachment know something powerful. Attraction grows when you are willing to walk away. It's not coldness, it's self-respect. It's knowing your worth so deeply that you don't collapse if someone doesn't value it. Agnes Callard's philosophy of desire explains that we aspire toward what we don't fully control. The same is true with attraction. When you don't seek constant validation, you create space for her to aspire toward you. She feels the pull because you are not begging to be chosen. You are living in a way that naturally inspires choice. Psychology supports this with the principle of intermittent reinforcement. People crave what is uncertain. If your attention isn't guaranteed, if your affection isn't automatic, it becomes more valuable. Women sense when a man has options, purpose, and direction outside of them. That's when their desire increases. Detachment also means you're not shaken by rejection. Stoicism trains us for this. Marcus Aurelius said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." When you live by this truth, you never crumble when someone pulls away. Instead, you remain steady, dignified, and in control. That composure itself is deeply attractive. So the sixth trick is this. Don't be afraid to step back, don't be afraid to wait, and don't be afraid to let go. A man who isn't enslaved by desire paradoxically becomes the most desirable. Part 7. The aura of purpose, the eye. Seventh and final flirting trick older men use is the aura of purpose. Everything we've discussed, calm presence, mentor energy, playfulness, slowing down, mystery, detachment, culminates in one ultimate truth. Women are attracted to men who live with purpose. Agnes Callard's central teaching is that aspiration, the act of becoming who we want to be, is the very heartbeat of desire. People are drawn to others who embody a higher path, a vision beyond the ordinary. A younger woman isn't just looking for surface charm. She's looking for a man whose life has meaning. Psychology calls this the halo effect. When someone perceives you as strong in one area, they unconsciously assume you are strong in others. If you have direction in life, she sees you as more attractive, more trustworthy, more magnetic. Your purpose becomes the lens through which she views your character. This is why an older man who knows his mission radiates a different energy than a younger man who drifts aimlessly. Purpose is more seductive than appearance, more powerful than wealth, and more enduring than charm. Because purpose signals that you aren't just living for today, you are building something bigger, something timeless. Stoicism echoes this truth. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." When you live aligned with this principle, your entire being becomes attractive. You are no longer trying to impress, you are simply expressing your deepest self. And that authenticity creates irresistible attraction. So the seventh trick is not really a trick at all. It's the foundation. Find your purpose. Live it every day. Let her feel that you are moving forward, and she will want to join the journey. Ending now. Let's step back and see the full picture. These 7 powerful flirting tricks are not cheap lines, manipulations, or temporary tactics. They are deeper than that. They are ways of living, rooted in psychology, refined by Stoic wisdom and illuminated by the philosophy of Agnes Callard. Calm presence, the quiet strength that draws her in without effort. Mentor energy, the guiding depth that inspires admiration. Subtle playfulness, the unexpected humor that lights the spark. The art of slowing down, the patience that amplifies desire. Magnetic mystery, the unfinished story that keeps her curious. Confidence of detachment, the self-respect that makes you irreplaceable. Aura of purpose, the higher vision that transforms attraction into devotion. Gentlemen, flirting is not about tricks. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't chase love but attracts it naturally. A man who doesn't beg for attention, but commands it with his presence. A man who doesn't live for approval but lives for purpose. Agnes Callard reminds us that desire is not about possession. It's about growth. And so the ultimate secret is this: the more you grow, the more you embody calmness, wisdom, humor, patience, mystery, detachment, and purpose, the more magnetic you become. So, take these lessons to heart. Stop chasing. Start becoming. Because when you live like this, you won't just attract younger women. You'll attract respect, admiration, and love that lasts.